Hello and welcome to this video. Today we're looking at Sierra chart and we're going to talk about how to add number bars to your chart. So instead of looking at regular candlestick bars like I am now, you can use something called number bars, which can give you a little bit more data and kind of display the information in a different way. So the first thing that we'll need to do is go to the studies window. So I'm going to right mouse click here and select studies. Now in the studies available section, we're going to go to number bars. So I'm just going to type in here to make it a little bit faster here, and then we'll find number bars. And you can see I've selected number bars, and then I'm going to go ahead and select add here to the studies to graph section so that it will paint on my chart when I go ahead and apply that. So let's, before we dig into the settings here, let's go ahead and take a look at what this will look like on our chart. So I'm going to select OK here. And you can see all of my candlesticks, and I'm just looking at a regular 5-minute chart, but you can use these with a variety of different charts, chart types or time frames, but I happen to be using a 5-minute chart here. And you can see in this case, it replaced my candlesticks here with these columns with some values inside of them, and we have some other options. So let's go ahead and take a look at kind of what these values are and kind of how they're displayed. So I'm going to scroll throughout my chart here, and let's take a look. So if you'll notice, for every 5-minute bar, we've actually replaced it with one of these columns here. And they have different rows within these columns, and you can see each of these rows has a value here. And the value here we'll take a look at is customizable, and it can be customized for different values, so different calculations. So I believe by default here what we're looking at is the difference between the ask and the bid volume. So that would be displayed here currently, and you can see it's color coded as well, depending on the level, the value level that we're getting here. We also see these arrows that are here. So for example, this arrow on the left hand side of this specific column would be the open price here, and the arrow here on the right hand side would be the closing price. So we can see in this case this column happened to close a little bit higher here than this previous bar, and so you can see that kind of throughout our chart. Now let's go ahead and actually take a look, and I'll just zoom out here a little bit so we can kind of see what these look like as well scaled. So let's go ahead and go back to our studies window and take a look at some of the settings that we can kind of dive into to customize this to our preferences. So again, I'm going to right mouse click here and select studies. And we'll select the number bars option here, and I'm going to select settings. Now within this settings window, we can customize a few different things. The first here we're going to take a look at is the column 1 numbers type. So this is going to apply to what calculation the values actually use that are on those columns. So for example, I'm going to select this here. You can see it is the ask and bid volume difference, which is that value that is displayed on each of those rows in the columns. But if I go to the drop down menu here, you actually see we have several options. We don't have to necessarily just use that ask and bid volume difference. We can use things like volume, so the total volume for those rows here. We can also use the total number of trades, as well as some other options here as well. So for example, let's just go ahead and use the total volume and see what that looks like here. And you can see that changed it out here. We actually get the colors a little bit different as well. You can see that those changed. So for example, we can see the total volume for each, not only the column here, but also within each row. So for example, at this price level here, we're seeing a 15 or 562 area. So there's really a lot you can kind of get with these different values. Now let's go ahead and go back here to our studies window once more. I want to look at some other options that we have available in addition to customizing the value that's within there. Now I'm going to change this back to the ask bid volume difference. But if you notice within our parameters section here, we actually have options to customize a column 2 and a column 3. So we can actually use multiple values, not just one of those values. For example, not just the ask and bid volume difference. We can also add in different values as well. So for example, if I go to column 2 number bars type, I could add in something like the total volume. So I could take a look at not only the ask and bid volume difference, but also the total volume as well in addition to that. Now, one thing I forgot to do here is to actually change the background coloring here. Now, we'll go ahead and leave that off for now. So if we take a look, I added in that total volume option. So within each column, We also have the ask and bid volume difference, but we also get the total volume, and you can see that. Now we can also customize the coloring option here for these specific columns as well. So if we go back to that studies menu again here and go back to settings, you can see the full background is the color option we used for the first column. So if we wanted to change that, we actually have a few different options here. Now let's just go ahead and actually color the column 2 background. So for example, I could use the full background option just like we used for the column 1, and you can see that actually extended it further here, and so now both of our columns are colored, and they will be colored a little bit differently because it will depend on the value of that column. So let's go ahead and go back to that settings menu one more time. Now, one really interesting thing you can do with the number bars here is you can actually use the, so I'm going to set this second one to transparent here, but we're going to change the color for the column 1 background coloring. And one thing that you can do that's really interesting here is to use a single bar volume profile or any of the volume profile options here. So not only will you get it color coded here and get those values and in this column format to kind of get an idea of what's happening within these time periods, but if we enable something like the volume profile, we also get the volume profile in addition to any values that we decide to have within these number bars. So now we can see the volume profile for what would be each of these 5-minute bars. So you can really customize this and show a lot of extra data here as far as things like the ask and bid volume difference, the total volume, or the number of trades. We could even add in all 3 of those, since we have 3 different column options to choose from, as well as the way to color these. So whether you want to color it depending on the values within there, or actually color it using the volume profile option like we have here, you can really get a lot of extra data to kind of be able to analyze as you compare different areas of the market. Thank you for viewing this video today. If you do have any questions, please feel free to give us a call or visit our website at www.optimusfutures.com.